G'day Seagulls fans, welcome to Seagulls TV for our Round 8 team selection video brought to you by Billy's Cakes. He's back on deck this week, our football manager Chris Dixon. Chris, it's good to have you back. I was a bit of a fish out of water last week, so welcome back, mate.
Thank you. It is a bit colder here than the 30 degrees that we had in Bali, but good to see the boys had a couple of wins, one big, one small, but certainly pretty tough following the game via Twitter over there, but pleased the boys got the result and nice and refreshed and looking forward to a big game this week.
Now, you mentioned you were following the game on Twitter. Have you had a chance to go back and watch the vision, and if so, what are your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, it was certainly a tough game to watch. Looking in, speaking to obviously everyone here, sort of talk about how tough the conditions were out on the ground. It was swirling over, and certainly it was pretty frustrating. I'm sure it must have been pretty frustrating on the day when it looked like we were pretty dominant in sort of areas such as clearances and inside 50s, and just really couldn't convert up forward. So it was, it looked like a pretty frustrating day, but I guess one of those days where you're just happy to get the win at the end of the day. And it's, as we said, it's such an even competition, so every 4 points is just really crucial.
Now we'll move on to this week's clash, where we've got Footscray out at Whitten Oval on Sunday, and another big occasion for the club with Cameron Lockwood playing his 100th game. There's been a bit of media about him this week and the VFL record. So what can you tell us about Cam? Obviously his career has been one of ups and downs, but he's a strong leader at the place and has spent his whole career here.
Yeah, certainly. Look, it's a great story. I think 100 games in any VFL club these days is a fantastic achievement. But look, we think it's obviously pretty special for Cam. He's our longest serving player, so he's actually been here a year longer than what Joel's has had. But due to sort of various injuries along the way, he has taken him a bit longer to reach the 100 game milestone. But look, Cam's one of those guys who's the heart and soul of the club. I remember even when I walked in, it's easy to see why sort of the players rally around him. He's a leader on and off the field in both his actions and words, and he's had a lot of hiccups on the way, as you mentioned. The hip surgery, missed a whole year in 2011, had various broken feet and hamstrings and everything you probably think about, every bone in his body really along the way. But I think he really showed the quality of the player that he is in 2013 when he had that really injury-free year and went on to win the best and fairest. So that just sort of showed what the player he can be at this level. It's great for a local product. He won 2 best and fairest of the Western Jets, was born in the area, played for Williamstown Juniors. So it's a fantastic achievement for him, and it's one that we really want to recognise, and one that the Williamstown community should really recognise as well, because he has been such a big part of this football club over the last 8 years when he's been here.
We wish him all the best out there on Sunday. Now we'll get into the lineup itself now. And what sort of team have we selected for this week's clash with Footscray?
We've been probably pretty mindful of the type of game, how it's going to play out, and especially up at the Whitten Oval. We know that it is sort of a longer ground. There's plenty of space out there. So, and obviously looking at how the Bulldogs have played the last few weeks, it's a very athletic side. They've got a lot of young kids who get on their bike and run pretty hard up and down the ground. So we have had to select a pretty athletic side ourselves to really be able to sort of balance their run. So it certainly can be a bit tricky up there with the conditions sometimes, a bit like our ground. The wind can get up, so we're also being pretty mindful of that. But certainly we've picked a side that we think we can come out and put in a really strong performance.
Now one of the guys from our list who's been in really hot form of late is Sam Donnell. 13 goals in the last 4 weeks, and he's been able to get the job done on the big stage. He must be wrapped with his influence on the side so early in his career here. Yeah,
certainly. It's probably what we expected. It's always good when you go out and you recruit a player and their expectations, I guess, match what you've seen them previously. But we've seen him do that for Sandringham in the past. He's been such a good player at VFL level when he's played there, and he's just continued to roll out that form here. He's been a great leader, both on and off the field. He's been really good working with the other forwards as well, and he's obviously had a really good start to the year. I think he's second on the goal kicking, so hopefully his form can continue. He's a really tough matchup for opposition clubs because he can be so strong overhead. He also does get on his bike and have a really high work rate, so he's been a great fit for us, and hopefully he can continue.
Now we'll touch on our opponents, Footscray. They're probably one of the in-form sides in the VFL, and obviously the AFL alignment, or the AFL version of the Bulldogs, had a really good win over GWS, so the whole club will be up and about. Must be expecting a fierce battle out there on Sunday.
Certainly. It's funny, their team from last year's changed a fair bit in the space of 12 months, so there's a lot of kids who we haven't come up against. Obviously there's a lot of players who either played with us here at Williamstown or we had a bit of experience with playing against last year, but they've certainly got a lot of young kids who have come in and really had a great impact at VFL level. So as you mentioned, they are one of the form sides in the competition. I think their last 3 wins might have been an average of about 100 points, so they've been really up and about, as I say. So it's going to be a really good contest, and certainly a good day of footy out there on Sunday.
Now, we played a pretty young side last week due to some injuries. Two of those players, Willie Wheeler and Scott Clouston. Can you give us a bit of update on their status at the moment?
Yeah, so Wheels was close. Wheels was some of the closer of the two for this week, but we've just probably erred on the side of caution a bit, given that we do have the bye the week after. It just made sense just to give him that extra week off to make sure he was right to go. So he'll definitely be right for Box Hill in a couple of weeks' time, which will be really another really important game for us. And Scotty's come along really well, so he started running this week. So initially there was probably some thoughts that it could have been up to 6 weeks, but once again he's probably looking at trying to get up for the Box Hill game as well. So it'd be great to have those two back in a fortnight's time.
Well, that'll do us for this week's edition of our team selection video, brought to you by Billy's Cakes. The local derby just up the road this week. Make sure you get along and support us as we look to hang on to that top spot on the ladder. Chris, thanks for coming back to us this week and joining us once again, and best of luck in this week's game against Footscray.
Cheers, thank you.